Smokepit Fairytales by Trip Ainsworth. Chapter 19. Glaedwine's Gulf War. I got a new level of fucked up every day the next few weeks. I made sure to avoid Gunny Chancellor's hangover witch hunt at work. I spent most of my time hiding out in Staff Sergeant Bistro's office or on the smoke deck.
So, you doing alright, Allensworth?
Bistro asked. Yeah, Staff Sergeant, things have just been a little bit, rough.
You've come into work reeking of alcohol every day this week.
Bistro didn't say that in a judgmental tone, but a concerned one. Yeah, well, I've been getting hammered every night.
Any specific reason?
Nah, just drinking for the sake of it. I lied.
Do you think you might want to see the substance abuse officers about that?
Oh, hell no, Staff Sergeant. With the way the Marine Corps is kicking people out nowadays, they'd had set me in a week.
They're not kicking people out for that kind of thing.
Staff Sergeant, they're kicking people out for anything they can. It's like this every time a war ends. Thanks for your service, but we don't want the problems we made for you. Now get the fuck out. And the Marine Corps is too small when the next war comes along. Fuckers.
I think you'd be alright.
I don't. There was this guy at my old unit. He was thinking about killing himself. He didn't do anything stupid. He went to go get help. He talked to the chaplain and all the psychs and all. They decided he was a lost cause and separated him without, putting him through any kind of therapy. The fucking officers are always talking about how we need to help each other and if we have a problem to tell someone. All that really does is identifying ourselves as targets for separation. The fucking Marine Corps is making people into monsters, then refusing to take responsibility for it. So if that kid ever takes himself out, it'll be okay because, it won't be on the Marine Corps' books and the Commandant won't have to answer to Congress about it.
That is kind of fucked up.
That's why good Marines are getting chewed up. We got problems because we're fucking human beings. We've done some pretty inhumane shit, and it messes with our fucking heads. But if we try to get professional help, Uncle Sam will say, oh, okay, look, we'll help you. They'll help us all right. They'll help us get the fuck off the numbers so we're not their problem anymore. Cocksuckers. Marines are going to continue down the path we're going, and it's not like the government's actually helping any of them.
Alright, I know Gunny gets pissed about people being hungover, but as long as you're not drunk, I don't really care. But would you at least find a way to quit smelling like alcohol at work?
I'll figure something out, Staff Sergeant. Chow time rolled around and I went to the PX to grab a sandwich and a Coke. When I came back to the building, I drove around back to see if Glaedwine was on the smoke deck. I'd started to develop a small crush on her. I felt a little bad about it because, I had Penelope, but I figured I couldn't help my feelings, and as long as I didn't act on it, it was okay. Besides that, Glaedwine was married and a junior Marine, so doing anything with her would have killed my career and my personal life, and I'd probably go to the brig. At the very least, I'd lose a few stripes. I'd never say anything to her about it, but that didn't mean I couldn't enjoy her company during smoke breaks. There was a group of 5 or 6 Marines on the smoke deck. I parked behind and walked up with my chow.
Good
afternoon, Sergeant.
Sergeant Rayner, Corporals Nelson, Arnold, and Gent, and Lance Corporals Glaedwine and Shrub all sat on the rickety picnic table smoking and joking. So anyway, Shrub continued with the story which I missed the beginning of. We're on the firing line at Paris Island and it's freezing cold out and everybody's huddled together. This kid a few ammo cans down from me kept a round from when he was firing. He loaded it straight into the chamber without a magazine and put the barrel in his mouth and pulled the trigger. The guy's Kevlar flew off his head and one of the drill instructors started running to the kid. It looked like he was running in slow motion, screaming, "No!" And then when the DI gets to the kid, he immediately starts giving him CPR. We were all just staring at him. I wanted to tell the DI that the kid was missing half his head and CPR wasn't going to work out for him, but, we got pulled off the line and just sat in the squad bay the rest of the night staring at the wall.
You know what my favorite part about boot camp is?
Rayner asked.
Not being such a boot that all my stories come from Paris Island.
I started eating my sandwich. Rayner continued.
But anyway, when I was in Afghanistan, there was a hit on a Taliban compound way out towards Herat. The Air Force sent a C-130 to go annihilate this place. I mean, like a biblical amount of destruction. The platoon I was with goes to do a BDA the next day, and the villagers all come up to us saying that we had to save them from the dragon. We were like, what dragon? The fuck are you talking about? Then the villagers tell us that a dragon came out of the mountain that day before and burned down half the village.
What a bunch of dumbasses, Corporal Gent said and laughed. Nah, that makes sense. I mean, if the most advanced thing you've seen in your life besides an AK-47 or a cell phone was a bicycle, and a giant black thing comes to your village from behind a mountain and destroys the countryside with fire, you'd probably think it was a dragon too. Yeah, I guess, Gent agreed. Glaedwine added,
People outside the developed world don't live anything like we do. When I was in Jordan, the people were still living in clay huts. They had their cell phones, but beside that, and some metal pots and pans, it was just rugs and dirt. People manage. But it's not luxurious like it is here. Impoverished Americans live like royalty compared to a lot of other places in the world.
What were you doing in Jordan?
I was there with my dad for his work. Everyone there did everything they could to sell people trinkets.
When I was in Kuwait, on the way home from my second deployment, there was this kid that came up to me and said, Mista, buy something. And he had a handful of bracelets and beads and shit, and I didn't want to spend anything, so I told him, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have any cash. Then this little shit laughs at me and says, haha, you don't have any money. So I pointed at him and said, haha, you live in a third world country. He got so pissed. It was great. Half of them laughed. The others looked at me like I had a dick growing out of my forehead.
Kuwait's not really a third world country. They actually have a lot of money there.
Yeah, but when it's reasonable to assume that pretty much everyone there has had sex with a goat, there's something wrong with the place.
Sergeant, you've obviously never been to Kentucky.
Hey! Shrub shouted in protest. Raynor snorted.
Yeah, Glaedwine. Kentucky folks fuck pigs. It's different.
Glaedwine shrugged and took a drag off her smoke. Raynor said with a smirk,
Well, either way, we beat them back to the Stone Age.
Erroneous there, devil dog, I jested sarcastically. Bombing someone back to the Stone Age implies that they left it.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, but we didn't really win.
I put down my sandwich. Excuse me?
A superpower hasn't won a war against an insurgency since the Peloponnesian War.
Raynor looked at her confused.
What? That's bullshit. What about the Banana Wars?
Those wars are actually still being fought. Only it's the DEA, not the military fighting them. Same people and ideas.
What about the French underground? The Nazis were kicking the shit out of them.
Nazis lost.
Yeah, but not the French. I'm pretty sure the Russians were the ones storming Berlin.
Glaedwine shrugged.
Nazis still didn't win the war.
Alright, well, how didn't we win Iraq or Afghanistan?
Afghanistan has been in near constant combat since Alexander of Macedonia. In Iraq, when?
I lit a cigarette. That doesn't mean we lost. The government lost. The Army and the Marines kicked the shit out of everything there. Fuck, the battalion on my first deployment killed almost 1,200 Taliban, and we lost less than 30 Marines. I mean, there were a lot more casualties than that, but only 26 of them went home in a box. We were winning when I left.
Well, if you go by that argument, Sergeant, we also won Vietnam.
We did win Vietnam!
Could you defend your argument, Sergeant?
Yeah, within 6 months of the Tet Offensive, we completely destroyed the Viet Cong, but during the actual fight, Walter Cronkite got on TV and said we lost the war back in '68. That killed morale for the US population, and Congress wouldn't let the fucking military win. It was the same shit in Afghanistan. Fucking Afghan could have been over and done within 6 months if the goddamn government would have kept their fucking dirty fingers out of the military and just let us do our fucking job. How the fuck are they gonna send us over there and tell us to win a fucking war, then tell us there are fucking rules? Fuck them! A fucking war is supposed to be so fucking brutal that the other side says, fuck it, I'm out. But we're not doing that. We're shooting people and breaking shit, then rebuilding the fuckers' villages to be better than when we came in, and giving the people medical treatment and food, and it's like, no fuckers, this is war! The last person that fought a war the right fucking way was Genghis Khan. Tell people to quit being fucking stupid, and if you keep it up, we'll kill everyone and burn everything. And you only have to do that once or twice before the other people stop fucking with you.
Well, you can't kill everyone.
The fuck we can't? No quarter, no prisoners. If they want to live, they better find another place to hide, and if they fuck with us from there, then we fucking go there and fucking kill everyone the fuck there too.
Sergeant, what about the situations like Germany and Japan, where the government declared war against the will of the people?
I would have killed the fuck out of those fucks too if I were in charge. If they didn't want to feel our wrath, they would have revolted, hung their leaders, and said, hey America, we killed the people responsible, we're sorry, don't kill us. But if we got to them first, I'd have had lakes of blood. Japan would be West Hawaii, and Germany would be East Pennsylvania. Then there wouldn't be a North Korea or a fucking China, and Afghanistan would be Texas too.
Sergeant, as a Texan, I take offense to that.
I rolled my eyes at her.
What about Vietnam, Iraq, Iran?
Vietnam never did anything to us, nor did Iraq. So we wouldn't have fucking gone there in the first place. Then, if we did the Iraq thing properly, we probably wouldn't have done Iran.
But Korea would have still happened?
I pulled out a cigarette.
So, you believe in total war, but don't think we should go unless it's warranted?
Yep, and I don't think Iraq was warranted.
Well, the Gulf War was about breaking up OPEC. Saddam Hussein never did anything to us.
And Iraq the second time was about making sure Saddam didn't change the oil trade currency to euro and thus destroying the US economy. Bush told that fucker not to fuck with him, then Saddam was like, I'm gonna trade oil and not dollars. And then Bush dismantled the Iraqi government and executed Hussein on TV to give the rest of the Middle East a warning about what would fucking happen. America's the new empire. I just wish we'd own up to it and really start imperializing shit instead of pussyfooting around trying not to hurt people's feelings.
That sounds like an elaborate conspiracy theory, Sergeant.
Whichever it was, the reason America is starting to lose wars is because the fucking media twist the facts to make people think what they want. And then the people and Congress bitch out even after the military kicks whoever's ass it is. I mean, shit, in the early 2000s when we invaded Iraq, the news kept talking about the terrible death toll the war was taking, and more people were dying from gang violence in Detroit than in the fucking war. Fuck, I don't remember anyone complaining about fighting the Germans. They didn't fucking bomb Pearl Harbor. North Korea never attacked us, neither did Vietnam. All three of those wars were started by Democrats and the media didn't fucking protest. Clinton started bombing Bosnia without the UN's approval and nobody complained about it, but as soon as a Republican does it, everyone loses their shit. The fucking news was complaining about how long the fucking war took, but it took more time for Ted Kennedy to call the police after he crashed his Oldsmobile into a fucking river and killed that chick than it did for the 1st Marine Division and the Army's 3rd Infantry Division to kill Saddam's Republican Guard. That shit pisses me the fuck off. I have to get permits and shit to buy and keep a fucking gun that the Second Amendment guarantees my right to, but any fuck with a microphone can just abuse the shit out of the First Amendment with no fucking consequences? God fucking damn it! Glaedwine snuffed her cigarette.
Sergeant, you say fuck more than anyone else on the planet.
Fucking so?
I'm just pointing it out, Sergeant.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to Smokepit Fairytales Chapter 19. I would like to thank Michele, Packard, and Matt Kupcikevicius for being voice actors on this. I'd also like to thank people who have supporting me on Patreon and everyone that's gotten a war chest. If you don't want to wait for me to read the rest of this to you, you can go get the audiobook. It's on Audible or Amazon or wherever. All right, you have a good one.